Is there any law stopping the FCTA from collecting the old debt, ground rent, from these embassies? Or is there an international convention or law that prevents or hinder or inhibits the FCTA from carrying out its duties?
Well, I read the report this morning, and I was amazed that the government of Nigeria will contemplate closing down embassies for not paying some rents. As far as the Vienna Convention on diplomatic relations is concerned, the premises of any embassy in Abuja are inviolable. By virtue of Article 22 of that convention, that is the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, the premises of an embassy, their furnishings, and other property, and even their means of transport, their vehicles, shall be immune from such requisition, attachment, or execution. No court of law can order that execution be levied on any embassy. And Nigeria is part of the international community. If we embark on invading the embassy of any country, it's going to lead to serious diplomatic problems for Nigeria. So it is not allowed. Nobody, in fact, if a policeman is pursuing anybody for committing any offense whatsoever, and the person is able to scale the fence of an embassy, the police officer cannot invade the embassy, whatever offense that might have been committed. So it is tried that embassies, missions covered by the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations cannot be invaded because they have not paid what you call rents, grand rents, which again are not applicable to the embassies. The other point, even for Nigerians,
whatever the FCTA under Wike, the FCTA minister, has done to FRS office, to Access Bank in Abuja, to PDP headquarters in Abuja, and a couple of other organizations and institutions who have had their properties shut down or are being marked for shutdown because of the debt of ground rent. And where the president has said, it's giving them some time to be able to sort it out. Whatever that action is, you're saying it is illegal.
No, the point I'm making is this. If, as the ministers identify these properties whose owners are owing grand rents, beautiful, the minister must go to court. It's like I'm owing you. I cannot take the law into my hands by sealing off your house. I must go to court. In other words, anybody who is aggrieved by the threat to seal off the premises, their premises, or to demolish their properties, are advised to go to court. We are operating under the rule of law. And that means nobody can sit in his office and say, oh, Mr. Falana has not paid his grand rent. I decide that it's wrong. I also decide and constitute myself into a court. And then after deciding, you are the accuser, you are the witness, you are the judge. You now decide, I'm going to execute the judgment by sealing off his house or demolishing his house. No, we have been having this running battle with the government of Lagos State. And it's not just about Abuja. People in power in Nigeria have contempt for the rule of law.
It is amazing how the disregard for the rule of law by Nigerian politicians reaches too far. They have contempt for the rule of law in Nigeria. And this is why Wike, the FCTA, or this Bola Tinubu administration seems to think it and is smart enough to go and seal off the High Commission of another nation. Literally, the High Commission of another nation is a nation in your country. Just the same way the Nigerian High Commission in America, and I think uh, um, in the UK, is like Nigeria in the UK. You have no right to go in there. You have no right to even come near their property to say you want to seal it or even give them a notification for sealing their property, just locking them. The Nigerian High Commission in the UK, just like the American High Commission or the embassy in the UK, the US embassy in London owes about 14 to 50 million pounds of congestion charge to the Transport for London. The Nigerian High Commission owes about 8.8 million. They're never going to say they're going to get a court injunction to come and close or lock up that building. So the impunity of the rule of law in Nigeria is exactly what is causing this idea that you would, consider yourself fit enough to go and lock up a building. You see that concept that we have in Nigeria where you have a civil case and you get a police to arrest another person. It's a civil case, go to court. Our idea is that I'll go get the police I will arrest you, and you go pay a police officer to come and arrest somebody and lock the person up. That impunity, that breach of law, that impunity that we have is exactly what our politicians have taken into political offices, where they have disregard for the people. Any little incident, the first thing they do is they lock the person up. And they know that the lawyers or the courts the judiciary is actually bought over. So the person can be in the police cell for months. Nobody will hear about it. If not because of social media, we're not getting to trace issues and see, oh, this person's been locked up. This thing that Femi Falana is talking about is a big issue. This is going to cause this thing can cause diplomatic issues between Nigeria and the United States. To say you want to go and lock up the embassy of the United States, and not just the United States, there are other embassies they've also issued. I think Turkey is part of them. There are a couple of them, they've been issued this warning that they're going to lock their and seal up their or seal off their embassies. You have no right. The Nigerian government has no right under the international law to even go near the office to say they want to lock that office up. Let alone the FCTA minister, Wike. This push for ground rent, you can see they're sealing up people's properties, they're locking people up, they're repossessing people's lands, and they've not taken them to court. This is going on all over Nigeria. This appropriation of other people's properties for ground rent. Take people to court. If they've done a case as a civil case, take them to court. Go and argue your case in court. The idea that Bola Tinubu says is giving them an extension. After the extension, take them to court. This is a very serious issue, and it can cause a big problem. And I know they would have advised them anyway, but that this disregard, especially this tempered nature of the FCTA minister Wike, where definitely it just runs with things and starts to shout. This is not Nigeria. This is not Nigeria you're dealing with the Americans. And they will come. First of all, with the acceptance Bola Tinubu is looking for all around the world, you can't even dare to even lock up Dan. I'm not going to talk about the other embassies. You can't. If they owe you ground rent, and so what? You will get your money at whenever time they want to give you the money. And that's the truth. They've been owing. I just read that out. The US embassy has been owing the UK 14 to 15 million pounds for so many, I think since 2003. 14 to 15 million pounds. They've never for once said that we're going to go lock up that building. We need the 15 million pounds. This is for congestion charge, just driving through certain roads that you're not allowed to drive on if you don't pay. The same thing applies to Nigeria as well. Nigeria is owing as well, 8.8 million pounds. They've never gone to go lock up our buildings to say, pay up or pack up. But yet our own minister in Abuja is saying that pay up that ground rent. You can see the taxation system and the disregard for the rule of law. So it's a pity. I don't know what you make of this, but this is the kind of system that we operate in Nigeria. And this is what we're taking outside of Nigeria to go and treat other people as well. Do you think he's right? But what is the law saying about it as well? But according to international laws, you can't even go near it. If you remember the case of Julian Assange, that one that sought asylum in different embassies, the American government couldn't go near that, even though they knew where it was. That's exactly how you respect other nations. To say you're going to go on ground rent, nobody cares for it. So leave your comment in the comment section and also like, share, and subscribe. I will catch you up in the next video. Always bye-bye for now.